And if I could just introduce the other speakers who you'll hear from in a minute. You've already heard from Christina. Christina Corsax is from the IMechE. And Tim Poole, you'll hear from shortly. Tim is the Chief Scrutineer for the Railway Challenge.
Hi.
Bridget Eickhoff is here. Bridget is the Controller for the Challenge. And Malcolm Dobell. Malcolm is our Deputy Head Judge. You'll hear from all of those in a minute. Okay, so just from me then to say welcome to everybody. We'll, as I've said, if you mute for the moment, we will allow teams to introduce themselves at the end and as we start our question and answer session. You're all very welcome. We thought this webinar would be useful because obviously we're in sort of quite different circumstances to the normal event, and we want to just present some of those different aspects to you and of course take questions and answers. So I hope that's okay. This is our agenda. So we'll go through the 4 short presentations and I'll just mention a couple of other things and then we'll take questions and answers. Okay, so first of all, Tim Poole is going to speak. Tim is just going to give us a quick update on scrutineering this year. Tim.
Good morning. Scrutineering, yes. As usual, we'll have 2 parts. There will be the static scrutineering and the dynamic scrutineering. Hopefully you all understand what that means. If you look at the website, you will see the scrutineering checklist and you can see how that is divided. Basically, up in the top area where the station is, we look at the locomotives to see that they are compliant. That means we're making sure that the locos are both safe and also that we've got a level playing field, that we're all complied with the specifications. If you have a look at your scrutineering checklist, I would strongly advise you go through that list and scrutinize your own vehicles yourselves, just to check that that would be a smooth process on the day. First of all, we do with the locos switched off, then we do it with the locos switched off to test various things like the emergency brake buttons, etc. And then, of course, assuming the loco is fully functional and it passes those tests, it goes down onto the main area of track, and the dynamic scrutineering take over those teams and check things like brake rates, maximum speeds, indications, etc. that the judges will need on the day. So that's how it is. 2 sorts of static, 1 sort of dynamic. It's static with the loco off, static with the loco on, and then down onto the track. The big problem that happens most years is the locos arrive non-functional. Therefore, we're delayed on the static with the loco switched on, and we're also delayed. They can't go out to do the dynamic. There are penalties for that, you will notice in the rules, if you're not able to go out on time. Now, obviously, we do appreciate the fact that many of you have not had the access like other years because of various COVID-related reasons, access to the labs and workshops where the locos are. So if you feel that you have been unable to sort of get the access you want to your loco, please speak to Christina, who can advise what to do if you'd like to come earlier than 12 o'clock on the Friday. If you can look at your loco off-site, obviously that's better because you're in the workshop where you can sort it out. But if you feel uncomfortable, want to come earlier than 12, first thing we will say is we can't guarantee all the facilities are there, like the catering, like the loos. They probably will be. Speak to Christina and arrange for earlier unloading, earlier delivery. We do understand that. We'll try and accommodate it, but you need to speak to Christina and just advise that that's what you will be doing. Just be that. But really the best thing with scrutineering to make sure it goes smoothly is, first of all, run through the checklist yourself. And secondly, make sure the locomotive works before you arrive on site, because in your workshops, it's a much easier place to sort things out than it is, on site where you don't have so much access to tools and possibly you don't have access to the people who built it the year before who understand how it functions. So that's the real key things on scrutineering. Good luck. Look forward to seeing all the locos on the Friday afternoon, and I'll hand over to the next speaker. Thank you.
Sorry, I muted myself. Thank you very much, Tim. Okay, so just up from me now, very brief update on rules. If you could just go on to the next one, please, Christina. It's my only slide in. You've seen it all before. It's just a reminder of the different challenges. So, okay, so this is just taken directly from the rules, which you've all got access to. So obviously you're aware that there are track-based challenges and there are presentation challenges. Now, obviously only those of you who are coming to the live event are going to participate in the track-based challenges, but we hope that all of you will participate in the presentation challenges. The points you can see there, points for each of the challenges are generally 150 points. The energy storage challenge is 300. I'm not going to go into more detail here now. Bridget is going to explain the operation and we'll show you where these challenges and when they take place. I think that's probably all for me, other than just to say that there have been some questions and answers as we go along, and those are all on the website in a Q&A section, so please have a look at that, some answers to some common questions. All right, so now I'll hand over to Bridget. Bridget Eickhoff will talk to us. Bridget is the controller and she'll talk to us about the operations on the day. Bridget.
Yep, thank you, Simon. And Christina will run through a build on this slide. For those who came to the virtual site visit, you will be already aware of the way that this track works. It's single track for those who haven't been there, and this is the way that the trains run. They run through the top here, then slightly down the hill, that's downhill, round the back, along the back straight, which is where the Ride Comfort Challenge takes place. So all the way down here, and then along the front of the lake. So this is all one way, and then it rejoins, but it's still single track, back up, back round, and then up into the trees, and we'll stop there for a minute. So once you leave the station with your loco, you have to go all the way around the bottom and back up again. It's not possible to come back early. There will be a rescue loco, so if there's a problem, you can be pulled back up, you can be pulled round. So please make sure your coupler works properly, which is one of the things that Tim and his scrutineers will check, just in case we need to rescue you. So that's an overview of the site. There are some good videos on YouTube and links were made available for the virtual site visit. There are runs round, you can do a virtual tour. I would advise you to familiarise yourself as much as you can with what it actually looks like before you get there. Once you do arrive, we will make sure that each team gets an opportunity to do a walk round, bits of that where all the challenges take place before you actually take the loco out. So at least you've had a chance to walk around it. So next, thank you very much, Christina. This is the point where the schematic shows you where things happen. So A, B and C are where the auto stop challenge happens. Then we have the points and the signal box. D is the start of the Ride Comfort Challenge. That's where the kit gets fitted. And then the Ride Comfort Challenge is around that loop to point E. And from point E, F, G is where the Energy Recovery Challenge happens. That's along the edge of the lake, piece of straight track, it's straightish track. And then after that, the traction and noise challenges are H, I and J at the bottom of the hill and the way back up the hill. So that shows you in schematic form where those different things happen. Next slide. What we've tried to do this year, and we haven't done that in any previous year, is we will seek to allocate a working position to each team, so that every time you go out on the track or you go to do your maintainability challenge in the designated area for that, your loco will then go back to your designated working area. This is partly as part of the COVID risk assessment, we're trying to minimise the number of areas that different people have to be in. This is a provisional arrangement, but I'm putting it up here to show you that this is a railway. So trains move on rails. And when we need to move a team, for example, to the maintainability challenge area, in most cases, we will do that by shunting you around as if you were on a real railway. So you may need to move to get out of the way of somebody else. We do have the jockey wheels on all of the locos, and the shaded bit across the middle is where there is hard standing. So teams can move potentially from one road to another on that hard standing. To the left of that is grass. So moving around with your jockey wheels on the grass is not going to be a doddle. So be aware that at various times during the weekend, your locomotive will need to move, not necessarily under its own power. It can be pushed, but if you're working on it, then we may need to know when it's going to be immobile, just in case we might need to move it to get things out. But that's the suggestion at the moment for how we're going to spread the teams out. So you've got your own working area and you're not interacting too closely with other teams most of the time. Thank you. Next. You won't be able to read that. I just put that up to show you. That's my Excel chart of what happens when on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And the different colours are the different teams. So there's activities for each of the different teams at different times during the day, arranged hopefully so that you're not doing two things at once, and hopefully so that we're making good use of the track availability. But not to worry about the detail. For the next slide, please. This is what goes on during the weekend. As Tim has already alluded to, we're scheduling unloading on Friday the 25th from 12 noon. If any team wants to deliver their loco, as teams have in the past, by a third-party haulier or something of that sort in advance, then that's fine, but please coordinate with Christina so that she and the folk on site know when that's going to happen. We're very happy for people to have their locomotives delivered in advance. That's not a problem, but we do need to know about it. There will be members of the volunteer team there on Friday, and we will need to see your method statement and risk assessment before you start unloading. So you will need to have a paper version of that so that we can see that you've got it. We're not going to supervise you doing it, but we need to see that you have a process, and we will watch from a distance to make sure that you don't do anything that's unsafe. The unloading and loading are actually two of the highest risk activities. That's when there is a clear risk of heavy parts going where you don't want them to do. So be aware that you will be monitored for that, but the responsibility is yours. As Tim has said, the static scrutineering starts from 2 o'clock on Friday, and we will need to agree arrival times for everybody. We can't have everybody deciding they want to arrive at 4 o'clock on the Friday afternoon, or the whole timetable falls apart. So that will be discussed in advance, and different teams can specify what is practical for you. We appreciate that some of you have further to travel than others. And then the dynamic scrutineering. The plan is to do preferably 4 teams on Friday afternoon, but there is a little bit of leeway on Saturday to do the rest, the ones that haven't managed to get to that stage on Friday. The maintainability challenge is on Friday from 10 o'clock in the morning. And then for those who've managed to get through the static scrutineering and the dynamic scrutineering, you get the opportunity of a 45-minute slot on the track on Saturday afternoon to practice. And we would encourage you to make use of that. If teams need a second go at the dynamic scrutineering, then that's an opportunity to do that as an option. And then the challenges happen on Sunday from 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's quite a complicated logistics that we'll talk the driver through before it happens. And then the prize ceremony will be on Sunday afternoon. And we're planning for loading up and departure from about 3:30 on Sunday afternoon. And I think that's all from me.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Bridget. So over now to Malcolm Dobell. Malcolm is our Deputy Head Judge.
Hello, everybody. This is just a short update of the paperwork that needs to be presented in advance. Some of the dates have changed from what was originally advised, simply because some things are being done virtually. So the design report is still due on Friday the 28th of May, and that's an important task that you need to complete by then. Same with the innovation article or paper. That needs to be on the 28th of May as well. The method statements, this is for the live teams, the teams that are attending for the live event. Your method statements and risk assessments need to be presented by Friday the 11th. And remember, you need to bring paper copies of them with you as well. Normally, you're required to provide a video submission to demonstrate that the locomotive actually works and is reasonably reliable. But we've understood that many teams are struggling even to complete their locomotive, let alone get out to a test track and give it some operational experience. So that's not required anymore, but we still require your chartered engineer sponsor to declare that the locomotive is, as far as he can tell, fit and safe to operate on the railway. We're expecting to have the business case presentation over a Teams live event on the 4th of June. And we're expecting you to use your technical poster at that event. So if you can use it in your presentation and then put it onto the G Drive afterwards, then that would be great. The business case presentation will be the usual format of 10 minutes of presentation and 5 minutes of questions. And there's enough time in your time slot in order to for the panel to introduce themselves and you to introduce yourselves to us. So we try and make it as relaxed as possible, but remember it's still a competition. I think that's me, Simon. So on to the next person.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Malcolm. Okay, so that's all of our presentations. If you could just index the slides. I just wanted to mention one thing. We do have in place now a COVID-19 protocol. This was sent to all of your teams on Monday this week by Christine. I think it was just sent to the team lead. So could you please make sure that you've all seen this, anybody who's coming on site? It's only 2 pages long. It's all sensible stuff. If you could just have a read through. But there is a form also, a short form, a declaration form that everybody coming on site will need to bring with them, will need to sign and bring with them, please. And it just it's the normal sort of things, questions about whether you've been exposed to any risks, COVID risks, and whether you've had a test and that sort of thing, please. So could you all please check that you've seen that? I won't go into the details now. Okay, that's it then. Thank you very much to all our presenters. So we now go into a question and answer session. We've got plenty of time. We've got at least 15 minutes longer if needed. If I could just ask you to unmute those who want to ask a question. I haven't seen any questions in the chat. I don't know why, but it says on mine that it's muted. Anyway, if you can type a question into the chat or you can speak out. But before we do that, could I just go round the teams, please, and just check who's here? If you could just shout out if anybody from these teams as I go through is there. So first of all, Sheffield. Anyone from Sheffield?
Yeah, good morning, Simon.
Great, thank you very much. I can't see names or faces, so apologies. Then Huddersfield? Nobody from Huddersfield. Aachen? Anybody from Aachen present? Okay, I see something in the, yeah, thank you. Brunel?
There was a yes in the chat, which I think was from Aachen.
Yes, I saw that. Thanks, Bridget. Anybody from Brunel? No. Warwick? No. Derby?
Yes, we're here. Thanks, Simon.
Great, thank you. Birmingham? Yeah, Birmingham,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah, got it. Lens? No, looks like not. Poznan? Anyone from Poznan? No. Newcastle?
Yeah.
I've seen Newcastle, yep. Thank you. TfL? No. And Network Rail and Beacon Rail?
Yeah, morning, Network Row here.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, super. Right, so we're open for questions then. I think I did see a question. Right, there's a question in the chat. Will there be any form of accommodation available? Okay, well, there are hotels in Melton Mowbray which you can book. We don't provide that for you, but what we do provide is a nice big field where you can bring tents and camp. You can space yourselves out, plenty of space, and we are providing facilities for that. From 12 o'clock on the Friday, we will be providing toilets, showers. Christina will correct me if I say anything wrong, and all those sort of facilities that you would need. Does that answer your question, William?
Yes, thank you, Simon. That's great.
Great. Okay, thank you. So, any other questions? Oh, we're going to finish early then. Please shout out or type if you have a question, and we will try to answer them. You've got all the right people to answer your questions here today. Okay, there's a question about for the digital poster, are we looking at a new format? Sorry, let me just get the full question.
Are we looking at a new format for better legibility?
Thank you, Bridget. Are we looking at a new format for better legibility? No, I don't think we're looking for a new format. Of course, we want the poster to be legible and readable and well presented. Malcolm, help me on this one.
Well,
I think the point being made is that an A0 poster on an easel doesn't work all that well for a video presentation, and possibly not so well for the sharing. Possibly doing it in the Prezi format works. I've really got to leave it to the teams to work out what's best for them. The important thing, you know, we haven't banned PowerPoint, but what we don't want is death by PowerPoint, sort of dozens of wordy slides. You know, if you're going to use the great thing about the posters, well, they were very pictorial. If you want to break them down into a number of A4 slides, which are similarly pictorial and help illustrate your locomotive to the judges while you're talking, then that would be absolutely fine.
There we are. Perfect. Thank you, Malcolm. You've heard it there directly from the judges.
And I think the confusion was, Simon, that of course the tech spec asks for an A0 poster.
Okay.
If you produce an A0, if you design something for an A0 poster on a small screen, that may be not ideal. So I think it's the right thing to do to have an A0 poster for a normal year. But they probably, I can understand why someone formally asked, you know, would we allow something different in this exceptional year? And I think Malcolm answers that.
Yeah, and I think we need to probably put that clarification on the website as well.
I think we do, because it is a formal requirement in the tech spec for normal years, and obviously this year we better explain the fact that an alternative.
I'll write a note for Christina.
Great.
Super.
I've just seen a question about unloading. Are the locos able to be unloaded from the van onto the hard standing mentioned? Yes. And the hard standing, as you may have seen from the slide, goes right the way across. So what we have done in the past is have unloading of one locomotive on one side of the hard standing at the same time as another one is being unloaded at the other side of the hard standing. And then you can move across the hard standing with your jockey wheels to whichever road you then need to put your loco on and to put it on its rail wheels. Does that answer the question?
Okay, thank you, Bridget. Jack, does that answer your question? Okay, let's assume it does. Okay, there's a question then from Sheffield University, from Jacob at Sheffield. With regard to the COVID protocol, given the current roadmap, is there any scope for reducing the restrictiveness? Sheffield's a particular issue. Yes, I'm aware of this, Jacob, and we have discussed it quite a lot. We've decided that we'll stick with the 10 members. I don't know how many people you wanted to bring, but we're trying to restrict it as much as possible. So we're sticking with 10 members per team. We're not having any visitors on site. We just feel that it's the right thing to do in the current climate to keep the numbers down to a minimum, really, that we need to run the event. I don't know if you want to come back on that or if anybody else wants to comment.
No, that's fine. Thanks, Simon. Obviously, I appreciate you want to limit numbers. I just wanted to ask the question, given that things are supposed to, obviously we can't rely on that, but given things are supposed to relax to a minimal state on the 21st of June, I just wondered if there was scope. That was all.
No, we were aware of it when we sort of looked at the date. We were aware that the 21st of June was when the final restrictions would be lifted, but doesn't seem that certain to me. And there are actually some news items today about the sort of new variants and so on. So I think we're doing the right thing in keeping to that. I mean, I don't know what your specific requirements are. I wonder if it might be possible that the 10 members that come could somehow report back to, to the larger team that you have, or anything like that. Maybe take some videos.
Yeah, so the main requirement really for it is obviously I'm sure you appreciate there's some members of the team who are older who have a better working understanding of the competition and the locomotive, so we'll need to be there. And then obviously there's a large portion of the team who have never been and don't have that same experience, and they only gain that experience by being there.
Yeah.
So basically it was just born out of a sort of a desire to try and continue that on as we have done in the past, but I appreciate it's a difficult planning period at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'll have to stick with 10 for this year, and then we'll move it back to 15 for next year.
That's fine. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Have I missed any in the chat? I don't think so. Anybody else want to ask anything? Okay, well, we have this system where if you send a question to Christina, then the committee or a subset of the committee will answer that question, and you'll get an answer, and that'll be circulated around to all the other teams as well. So feel free to continue doing that. But otherwise, it looks like we might have answered all the questions then. Colleagues, presenters, is there anything else, any final comments you wanted to add?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Only to say, let's hope we all have a very enjoyable weekend.
Thank you very much, Bridget. Yeah, really look forward to seeing everybody. Good. And feel free to pass the link to this video, which Christina will circulate to anybody else in your teams. Snappy is best for session. Thank you. Can we have a copy of the PowerPoint and schedules? Yes, I'm sure that's all right, isn't it? Christina, we can well, it's all recorded, so you can look at the recording. But
if it's useful to circulate a PDF of the spreadsheet, I have no problem in doing that. But be aware that it might change. But if it's useful for people to see that spreadsheet, then Christina, you're welcome to circulate it to all the teams.
Great, we'll do that today, tomorrow to all the teams. Good.
Okay. Thank you very much. Excellent. So thanks to everybody for participating, and look forward to seeing some of you anyway at the event. Thanks very much. Thanks to all the presenters. Thanks, Christina.